I think of writing as a form of storytelling, and I think stories nurture communities and families and schools as much as food does. I think we need stories just as we need food. I think of everything that you've contributed to this beautiful little chapbook as a story for your community. So when you come up and read, think about it not so much about you, although I certainly congratulate each and every one of the winners and those who wrote good things that weren't selected, but it's really about giving a gift back to your community. So when you read, Kelly's going to adjust the microphone for you at whatever level you need. This is the kindest audience that you're ever likely to get to perform to, so relax and read. Give it. Be proud of your work and give it your best shot.
The Runaway. One day I shot my big sister. And I wish I could say that it was an accident or that I'd done it in self-defense. No, it was deliberate, but without malice. When I was 10, my most precious possession was my Daisy Red Ryder BB gun. With a lever action and a genuine wood engraved stock with a secret compartment for storing BBs. Ammo was scarce that day because my buddy Chester and I had just returned from a safari to the big field across the highway. We hadn't killed anything, but we each used up nearly a whole tube of BBs. So on this warm Saturday afternoon in 1950, I had about 8 BBs left, and I had to hoard those because it would not be until next Friday when my allowance would give me the chance to resupply. The radio was on, with all the good Saturday programs, Buster Brown, Gangbusters, Sky King, were over. My sister, Leela, who was 6 years older than me, had turned the station over to one playing popular tunes while she looked at the magazine. She was wearing a pair of shorts and had thrown her leg over the arm of the sofa. Across the room with my BB gun by my side, I was rereading an old Superman comic. Mom was in the kitchen doing whatever it is that moms do on Saturday afternoons. In school that spring, we had studied about animals living in the ocean. Our teacher, the beautiful blonde-haired Miss Bronson, had taught us that whales were mammals like us and were insulated from the cold ocean temperatures and attacked by predators by thick layers of blubber which protected their vital inner parts. For some reason, I was reminded of that fact when I studied my sister's leg across the room. And I wondered if my sister's epidermis would give her the same protection from injury that blubber gives to whales. A scientific experiment formed in my mind. I tore off the corner of my comic book and wadded it up to the shape, approximate size of a BB, and used my spit to hold it together in shape. Didn't want to use a real BB because, as I said, they were in short supply just then. I also figured that if a BB penetrated her flesh or ricocheted, I would not be able to retrieve it to use again. I cocked the gun, rolled the paper BB down the barrel, sighted the gun on her thigh, and fired. What happened next was quite unexpected and exciting.
Yep, I'm a mailbox, but I'm not just a plain, ordinary mailbox. No siree. I don't even look like the other mailboxes in my neighborhood, but I am just a mailbox, just the same. And my job is the same as all the rest, protect the mail. Yep, that's what we do, protect the mail, even on dark, cold, dreary, wet days. And it was on a day just like that I have my fondest memories. How, you ask, can that be possible? But it happened, not only to me, but also to my peers. Not that my life was always full of joy, because there were times that life seemed unbearable, but that was because I had a spoiled, rotten beginning and early childhood. You see, I began life in a clean, air-conditioned workshop in Baus, Arizona, and I felt special. Sure, my builder's workshop was dusty and noisy, but from the time the delicate hands of that hard-working retired farmer from eastern Oregon began to fashion me from a long piece of ironwood and several small pieces of sagebrush until 4 months ago, life was good. He, I never did learn his name, worked on me for 6 days, slowly, gently, with the hands of a patient craftsman. He especially handcrafted each piece of me, and each piece was carefully put in place. He then gently placed me, along with others similar to me, on a shelf labeled Happiness. After completing 10 such masterpieces, each an individually designed and handcrafted mailbox, he carefully wrapped and boxed us for a journey to none of us knew where. When our time came, he gently wrapped us in bubble wrap and placed us in a pickup with a canopy. I overheard him tell the driver, "Drop these off at the usual spots on your way north, and take the last two to Elgin, Oregon." Elgin, I thought to myself, that has a nice ring to it. I hope I go there. My peers and I settled down for the long trip north. This gave us plenty of time to talk and dream about our futures. Each of us, right down to the last one made, dreamed of a home with a climate like the one we left back in Arizona. After dropping off the first 8 at various unknown to us places, the last 2 of us arrived in Elgin 3 days later, and my dream had come true.
It was a typical Saturday. That was still no guarantee. Remember that. "Please, Mom," I pleaded. Can we please play Noxie Space Adventure, please?" "All right," my mom had startled me by saying. She's folding laundry and frowning at me at the scattered bird seeds, which is my job to clean up. I don't wait for her to snap out of it. "In half an hour, you have to hand the controller to your brother," she says, even as I'm yipping my way up the stairs to play with my best friend Charlie. I hear a squawk and a crazed flapping of wings. I look down the stairs, and my blue-headed pianist peers at me like he has a million questions. "Of course he can play Skittles." I run down and I hold my finger out. He climbs on. We are off to the land of Wii. The game is cool. A gray cat named Noxie fights aliens from Saturn. And even though I'm 10, I still think that everything in outer space is so interesting, and wonder if you were squished flat by a pancake from a black hole, or if you even had time to feel it. Skittles on my shoulder watches as Noxie fights the aliens, and Charlie has chosen Fox, obviously, who teams up with Noxie. There's no gravity in the game, so they jump really high. Noxie's so serious, but Foxy jumps with the biggest smile. The aliens are getting into trouble, but Charlie and I have to risk 3 lives, so we have to be more careful now. But when Foxy takes a big hit, there's no game over flash. Usually the letters are bright and dramatic and the game booms. Game over. But nothing happens. Foxy and Noxie lay there in a puddle of blood. "I love violence," Charlie says with a grin that I find funny. "Reboot the game," she commands. Charlie's like that. Only I can't. Instead, the screen turns into a whirlpool like the Nova show I saw about tornadoes. I feel a whoosh of air and I'm kind of dizzy, like I've been doing too many bottom spins in hip-hop class. And I hear a high-pitched screeching, and my ears and I feel wings beat against my face. I reach out, hoping to catch Skittles, so that he doesn't get hurt, but my hands are empty. Everything's a whirl of colors. I wish I had my sketch pad and some paints to catch this, whatever it is. Down, down, down we go, falling into the whirl of colors. "We're about to die," Charlie moans. I have to confess, do you remember your 8th birthday? Seems like the wrong time, but yeah, I do. You thought that your dog Karma ate your birthday cake. It was me. Slam! We're both on an icy hard surface. Dun, dun, dun!
This story actually came to me in a dream that I had. I stared as I walked by, distracted by the unusual perfect condition of the old abandoned property. There were no caretakers and no tenants to take care of the old heap. No one has lived in the house for almost 10 years. The last residents moved out after the death of their 13-year-old boy. Was it the fresh-looking forest green paint, or the meticulously manicured lawn? Maybe it was the clean, shining even, mahogany door that boasted the wealth of the past owners. Whatever it was, I was incredibly intrigued. Walking home, I couldn't get the house out of my mind. I had to see it closer, on the inside. It was like something from the house just took over my thoughts. On Friday, I found myself thinking about it in the middle of class, which earned me lunch detention. "Mary, are you okay?" my friend Janice asked, but I ignored her. "Mary!" Startled, I turned around and looked at her. "What?" I asked. "What's up with you today?" she questioned, looking worried. "Nothing. I'm fine." She was about to say something when the teacher, Mr. Anderson, told us to be quiet. After school, I called my mom and told her I was going to Janice's house for a bit. I didn't, though. I went to the old Lafayette estate. I approached it just as before, like some kind of ninja trying not to be seen by someone outside or inside of the house. I finally made it to the window and peeked in. The interior was that of a grandparent's home, old-fashioned and clean. It appeared that I was peering into the living room. There was an old worn couch on the back wall and a bookshelf right next to it. In front of the couch was a small stained coffee table, and under it an antique-looking rug. The walls were custard yellow. My interests were heightened. I crouched over to the mahogany door and slowly reached for the gold-plated doorknob, almost expecting someone to open the door in the middle of my action and have a fit. My hand finally reached the knob, and I delicately turned it. The door is locked. I sighed, disappointed.
After 1 year and too many delays to count, the SS Starliner was finally finished with maintenance and ready to set sail from New York City Harbor. Captain Brown finished his pre-sail checklist on the bridge and watched as one of the gangplanks was being lowered so the VIP guests could come aboard. He sighed. It was supposed to be just a short voyage, just to test the ship's new systems and technology, with only a skeleton of crew and engineers and staff. But because of the delay, the company got the bright idea of booking the ship out for a cruise to the Bahamas. The ship was nearly at capacity and would soon be brimming with many executives and their families from the parent company. Nothing like trying to get the feel of a ship, testing its new systems with a boatload of people, asking questions and wanting to be photographed with him. "Time to schmooze," Captain Brown muttered. He liked being a captain, but hated the social parts. Captain Brown was still a bit shy, just like his daughter Sarah, who was going to fly down to the Bahamas to meet him so he could meet his newest granddaughter. He brightened a bit thinking of Haley. He pulled out his phone and looked at his screensaver. Haley looked just like her mother as a newborn. Had it really been 26 years ago? He shook his head and smiled. He felt great, but he must be getting old thinking so much of the past. Soon he'd have to think about retirement, and he wanted no part of that. Several hours later, the preparations were complete, and the ship was dramatically unmoored to the crash of champagne and a lot of boring speeches. As politely as he could, Captain Brown returned to the bridge and made a small pot of coffee. He waved from the wheelhouse even though among the hundreds of people along the docks, no one could see him. He loved the open sea and couldn't wait to get away from land to see what this restored ship could really do.